Hi folks, this is Jonathan at the Piano Lesson. Welcome back. Special shout out to my buddy Francesco out in sunny Italy. There's a poem that was written in 1785 entitled To a Mouse by a Scottish poet, Robert Burns, and there's a line in it. I'll say it in Scottish first. I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, but the best laid schemes o' mice and men gang aft agly, which translates to the best laid schemes of mice and men, or the best laid plans of mice and men, often go awry. Awry meaning wrong. We often go wrong. So the more we plan, sometimes the more likely that the outcome is going to be wrong, which is why improvisation is so important. But it's nice to take an element of that into one's practicing and playing. So I thought, rather than just completely plan out a lesson, I wanted to show you the process of exploring a piece of music. As many people know who've been watching this channel, all four of you, you know that I like tetrachords, and I find it's a valuable lens to examine a piece of music. You can understand the composition that way. You can better get the mechanics and the notes under your fingers and make the piece manageable. And so there's a piece of classical music that I'm going to bring out that every piano player probably knows from the Bach two-part inventions. It's the C major invention. And I'll show you all the tetrachords that are in Bach's music and how he kind of builds his composition with it. And we'll just kind of quickly review some of the tetrachord rules, because they're simpler than people think. And I'm not going to go terribly into it, but let's get my bird's eye camera up here, and we'll just explore a little bit. So just a quick review on our tetrachords. There we go. Our tetra meaning four note groupings. So you have let's say this C, D, E, F, right? That's major. And then you have C, D, E flat, F. So now the half step is between 2 and 3 rather than 3 and 4. And then you have C, D flat, E flat, F, right? And so now the half step is here between 1 and 2. And then you have this. You have actually two half steps, C, D flat, E natural, and F. So you have a half step here and a half step here. And those are the four groupings: major, minor, Phrygian, and harmonic. Right? And knowing those four variations, you can build scales that are more complex. Now, there are other types of tetrachords, but these are all framed with perfect fourths. So the lowest note and the highest note are a constant, a variable. It's only the middle notes that change, right? And perfect intervals, right? There's different kinds of intervals, but the perfect ones that we learn first, fourths, fifths, and octaves. And it is possible to raise it, that's called augmented, and it is possible to lower it. If I did that, that could be considered F flat. That's another type of tetrachord. I'm not going to go into these today, but this is a diminished tetrachord. So C, D flat, E flat, F flat, or C, D, E, F sharp, right? Those are other types, but mostly we're dealing with these ones that are framed with perfect fourths. So why is that useful? Well, when you make a major scale, right? If you make a C major scale, the C major scale is built on two tetrachords. Right? You have the lower one, C, D, E, F, and the upper one, G, A, B, C. And that constitutes the scale. And those are disjunct tetrachords, meaning that they're not overlapping, they're not connected, they're not sharing a note like that. But that would be a major scale, all right? That's a major scale. Now, if I wanted to make one of the three minor scales, and there's three minor scales, well then I would lower the third, and now that would be a melodic minor. That would be melodic minor. So the lower tetrachord is minor and the upper is major. However, the two others, that's natural minor. If I flatted the A and the B, that is a Phrygian tetrachord. And if I wanted a harmonic minor, that was it natural and harmonic? Right, if you want a harmonic minor. But the lower tetrachord is the same for all three. And typically when you're playing in a minor key, you're going to want to know all three of these, but particularly the harmonic minor is important. This is not in the key signature, the seventh note. We need that for the dominant chord. That's not necessarily wrong, but it's atypical of what we normally deal with in music. Okay, having done that quick little review here, let's jump over to here, and this is our two-part invention. Okay, and the piece starts with a rest. It starts with a 16th rest, which is very typical of Bach. Most musical phrases don't start on count one. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. The phrase goes over the bar line. That's important to know. The phrase doesn't start on count 2. That would be unmusical. It's not 1, it's not that. It's 1. Right. And if you notice the first grouping of notes, that's your major tetrachord. And then he plays G up a fifth and forms the perfect fourth again. Now he doesn't have, a lesser composer might have done this, right? Or maybe, right? He does that over here. He copies that, transposes that little motif, that little phrase there, but essentially the piece is that, right? Okay. Now the D is a foreshadowing for that D. Here's another fourth, and that grouping of notes implies that. What is that? That's a minor tetrachord. It's D minor. So you have major and minor. And you'll hear that later on in the piece. He transposes the rhythm. So there's different ways to develop compositional ideas, right? This is rhythmically, that is the same as this, and melodically it's the same, right? But if I do this, that's rhythmically the same, but we've changed the notes slightly. So you can do things like that. Then we have another tetrachord, right? So he's going down, up a fourth, stepping down, skipping up, and then another tetrachord. That's another tetrachord. That's another tetrachord. another tetrachord, another tetrachord. Now I'll play it as written, okay? Right. So you have scale, stepwise motion, and skips. Step, skip, step, skip, step, skip, and down a fifth. But those tetrachords are right. So you see how Bach uses those groupings, and but to create some musical interest, right? He's changing the direction and he's changing the rhythm. He could just as easily, rather than stepping down and skipping up, stepping down, skipping up, he could have done the opposite. He could have skipped down and stepped up. You know, right? He could have done that. You know, he didn't. And you can make little exercises out of this. So let's just say, you know, you're trying to practice your tetrachords, right? And you want to do major tetrachords, minor, Phrygian, harmonic. Why not just create a variation There's your transposing exercise, which nobody ever does, but is a lot easier than you think. I mean, if you have, for anyone who teaches out there, get a little kid to do that. Just start getting their, say, foot in the door, fingers in the door. Maybe you don't get your fingers in the door, but you know, that's the first pattern. That's major. Then do minor. Minor. I'm not doing this any particular musical way. I'm just dropping my hand on these tetrachords, right? If you practice the same thing over and over again, you'll actually get worse. On the other hand, if you don't systematize something, you won't learn it as well as you could, and it'll also be unreliable. So when you're dealing with a piece of music, you're learning a piece of music, you don't want to play it through from beginning to end. You want to kind of jump around and pull it apart and play with little aspects of the piece before you start messing around with it. You know, it's a bit, I just had this image. I always have these images of IKEA, putting IKEA furniture together. I don't know why, because I don't buy IKEA furniture. But I imagine, you know, getting any new thing, all right, and you get it in the box, and you open it up, and you take the parts out, and you lay them out, okay? These are the parts, right? And here's the instruction manual, and you read the manual, and you go, okay, this, you see the diagram, oh, that's, this bag of screws is bag 1, this bag of brackets is bag 2, right? That's kind of what you have to do with a piece of music. It doesn't really come with instructions. Although if you look at the piece of music, you will see the parts. If you've seen these puzzles where you just have like looks like an entire sheet of letters, like a big page of nothing but letters, and in that you have to find words. Or when I was a kid, we had these magazines called Highlights magazine. It was like this big kind of drawing, like a cartoon, it'd be like a jungle, and in the jungle you'd have to find like something that would be completely unexpected, but like an outline of a shovel or something, you know. But that's kind of what you have to get good at when you're learning music, and it's abstract, right? It's because we're dealing with sound, so it's a little bit harder. You can recognize the patterns, of course, by looking at the music. Even if you don't read music, you can kind of see, okay, well, all those notes are going up, line, space, and then they're skipping, or, you know, that kind of thing. But getting good at reverse engineering some of these things, trying to get in the head of the composer and making these things your own. So we did that pattern with major and minor. You could do it with Phrygian, right? I mean, and those Phrygian patterns come up later in the piece. And if you listen musically, I just played that in D Phrygian. It sounds like it wants to resolve to the E flat because that's the leading tone, right? Hear how musically it changes. As opposed to if I did, right, that's a whole step. Or that's totally different. It's harmonic. Oh. And that's the fifth above it. So let's keep going in the piece. I'll start again just to kind of get a running start. I'm just doing right hand. And I should mention that the left hand echoes the right hand. And notice it's basically you're doing C up to G, and then you're going from above the G. So he's starting on a kind of a dissonance. Right, hear that? The basic melody is G, E, C. So the melody is really, that's really the melody, but it's embellished. Step above. Here. So we went, hear that? You have to be able to kind of cull out the important notes. You have to be able to hear the piece. How do I describe this? But think of the piece like the gears on a bicycle. So you got like a 10-speed bike or whatever it is, you got all the gears on the same axle, right? And you can choose to shift the gears and the chain goes on those gears at any one, right? But they're all spinning together in synchronicity. And that's what the music, that's what's going on in the music. It's almost like a celestial, astronomical kind of, orbits of planets and stars and things like that. You have these long melodies and these kind of shorter melodies and these sort of little filler melodies that create some kind of sparkle within. So you have like the even numbered and odd numbered gears, let's just say, okay. But that's what makes Bach's music so beautiful is sort of this underlying symmetry. But you can hear all the tetrachords in the piece, kind of reiterated in the piece. Let's keep going. And so that's Phrygian. That's minor, major, Phrygian, minor, major, minor, and then there's an ornament. It's actually called a mordent. It goes to the lower neighbor, minor. So here's F sharp minor, or excuse me, F sharp Phrygian, and here's E minor. And he kind of stacks these. They're almost like they're diatonic. You could do this. You could go Just these patterns. Minor, Phrygian, major, minor, Phrygian. But instead of doing that, or he does this. He goes up, he skips, skip up, step down. Skip up, step down. Skip up, step down. Right? But it's still, or same notes, right? If you're going to improvise, right, or you need to be able to see those notes for what they are. And that's what the exercises are supposed to do. They're supposed to kind of create some sense of some plasticity. The word is, I guess, plasticity, some flexibility in your thinking. So you can recognize a group of notes, you know, and see the possibilities. That's the word I'm looking for. See the possibilities that exist within those notes. Let's keep going. Find a lot more tetrachords. And then he does this. And left hand is very similar. This particular version is edited and it has phrase marks, and I think the phrase marks are pretty good. This is where the phrase ends, and then the next little bit, and the next little bit, and the next little bit. Usually people conflate the two, you know, they'll usually start the phrase. That's not where it starts. And then so there's another tetrachord, D minor. E Phrygian. F major. E Phrygian, D minor, C major, B Phrygian, A minor, G sharp Phrygian. And how do I know that's so fast? Well, because, oh wait, just a minute. I gave you the wrong thing. Sorry, this is minor. Yeah, this instance right here is actually diminished. See, this where our diminished tetrachord came in. This would be Phrygian. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. That would be Phrygian. But there's a C natural here. Yeah, that's it. A G sharp, A, B, C natural. That's a diminished fourth. Major, minor, minor, major, down a fifth. That's the bass clef. I just played that with the right hand just because I did. Now I called this, I said major, G major, F sharp minor, but what if I did this? What if I started, you know, I mean, if I took that group of notes, if I combined them, if I took this G major, and right, we have that diminished, here's your minor, what if I did this? In other words, I didn't start on, I'm starting typically on the downbeat, 1, 2, 3, 4. But what if I started on the upbeat? What if I started on the second half of the beat and created a tetrachord? So G sharp, that's Phrygian, right? Or started on the B, that's Phrygian, right? So if I shift the rhythm, right? If I shift where I'm defining the tetrachord, right? Right now I'm defining the tetrachord 1E and a, or, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm kind of doing it metronomically. It's not the most musical thing in the world, but I'm doing it kind of metronomically. 1E and a 2E and a, what if I go 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E? Then the definition of the tetrachord changes. So why do you want to go through this trouble? I don't know. There's a lot of other things, better things to do. No, I mean, because there's a lot of notes, and it helps you get a handle on this stream of notes, where you can stop at any time. The trick, I never thought about it this way, but I guess the trick isn't playing so much. The trick is stopping. In other words, the trick is being able to stop at any point in a piece and start again, like the needle on a record player. And I'm not going to teach you what a record player is, but very often that's what happens in lessons or master classes. If you have a teacher and they'll just, you'll be expected to have the music not only memorized, but they'll say, all right, start on page 5, third line, fifth measure. And you just got to start there. I mean, you're expected to know where that is. Or they may show you the music possibly, but, that's a great test to see if you really know the piece, to be able to start and stop, to kind of pick up the needle of the record player and put it down. That will help you do that and give you a command over the music. Now, this sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, it is a lot of work. You got to kind of like it. I mean, but the more you do it, the more you like it. So you got to have faith in yourself. You got to have faith that you can see it through, and that there'll be a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's, I guess, all I can say. Anyway, we're coming up to the end of our time, but I enjoyed this. This is Jonathan at the Piano Lesson. Signing off. Please drop me a line. You can go to www.thepianolesson.com, and there's a contact page there, or you can comment on my YouTube channel. Thanks again. Bye-bye.